Welcome back, everyone. Why did I start this podcast? Well, first and foremost, I started this podcast because I wanted a space where high performers were free to be confident in the fact that they don't know everything, right? We've been brought up in a space and time where we're expected to know everything. We're expected that because we went to school, because we have degrees, because we did well in school, that because we did well in corporate, that all of a sudden we're going to know everything about marriage, everything about raising children, everything about making money, everything about mental health, everything about running businesses the right way. And unfortunately, for that reason, I'm seeing a lot of high performers get their asses kicked in the marketplace. Okay. So I want to be clear. This space, and what they told you, is so that we can begin to assess the thought processes that are in our head and say to ourselves, you know what? For a long time, we've had a board of directors telling us things, whether it was the people we were brought up with, or the people who were in our friendship circles, or the people we worked with, that told us that these things that contributed to our limited mindset. So today's podcast is F what they told you, you were born legendary. Let me repeat that. F what they told you, you were born legendary. Many of us are so busy trying to figure out how to be, how to do, how to become. Why? Because somewhere inside of us, we feel like we're not good enough. We think that something needs to be fixed, something is broken. And the truth is, a lot of us need to become a lot of things in order for us to become the things that we were born to be. But when I think about, F what it told you, you were born legendary. This is a calling card, right? This is a calling card to all of you who have literally in the first phases of life, you won big. You checked all the boxes. And so people saw you as the expert, as the go-to person. People saw you as the friend that had all of their stuff together. But then at some point in life the heck out of you. At some point in your career, something happened. At some point in your relationship, something happened. And you started to forget who the heck you were. You forgot that the process that you were going through was only the preparation for the purpose and impact that you're supposed to bring to this world. So this is a calling card. F what they told you, you were born legendary. You were born a legend, honey. And this is actually being inspired by a challenge that I just put out last year at the beginning of December. Okay. At the beginning of December, I did a challenge. Now, unbeknownst to me, I created this challenge years ago, but I thought I was creating it for everybody else. And as experts, oftentimes we think everything we do is for everybody else, not realizing that there's an internal portion of us that needs the things that we're very much bringing to the marketplace, the things that we're bringing to everybody else. Our family needed, we needed, and of course, our relationships and finances needed. And so I created this 5-day challenge because for the whole year, last year, I started attracting people who were high performers. They met all of the checking of the boxes. They had the career, the education, the degrees, the relationship, the finances. But somewhere in those individuals' mind, they felt like they weren't good enough. Why do I feel like they felt like they weren't good enough? Well, one, these people were investing more in travel than they would invest in themselves. These people would register for something and they would not fulfill it. These people would make excuses about why they couldn't invest in something, or make excuses about why they didn't have enough time to do and be the person they were called to be. These persons were shrinking back, at first getting excited to do something, be something, go somewhere, but then life. And then they were shrinking back thinking, well, I just want the success, but I don't want to go through the process. I just want the success, but I don't want to have to take the time to figure out what that looks like. I want the success, but I don't want to have to do the work to become the person that's been blocking the blessings that God has already given to me. So I thought to myself, okay, is it just me that's attracting these people? Or are high performers across the board are behaving this way? So I started to do some research. And one of the research I came into was the fact that majority of the courses that are being sold online, majority of the coaching programs that are being pursued online are actually pursued by high performers. These are the people who literally were born to dominate. These are the people who they were dominant in school, dominant in career, dominant in everything. They're good. Like give them a goal and they can check the box. But at this point, I don't know if it was exhaustion or burnout, but they were beginning to see the high performers who were signing up, registering for things, who were setting the goals, who were setting their sights to go higher, were quitting on themselves. They were quitting on their family. They were quitting on their health. They were quitting on their businesses. In fact, because high performers check the boxes that society uses to define success, high performers often hide behind these metrics of success. Metrics like, people often want to get married by a certain age. So because a high performer has a marriage, a lot of people think, wow, they're so successful. Or a lot of people want to make a certain amount of money by a certain age. So because a lot of high performers make multiple six figures in their career, people will be like, oh, wow, they're so successful. Or because high performers typically will be capable of taking their dream vacation, they'll be capable of having their dream car, or they'll be capable of living in their dream communities because these are goals that they can accomplish. They hide behind this metrics of being successful. But the truth is, when I dive deeper into the research, I started recognizing that a lot of these individuals were unfulfilled. I'm going to repeat that. When I started diving deeper into the metrics, into the research, I started recognizing, like myself, a lot of these individuals were unfulfilled. They were not living the life they truly desired. They had checked the boxes, done everything that they were told to do, but now they were at a crossroad where they were beginning to see that having a certain amount of money, having the career, the marriage, the children was no longer fulfillment. Because someone forgot to tell them, once you've gotten the thing that you desire, it is no longer a desire, nor is it desirable. So they have not figured out how to live a life of fulfillment when they possess the thing that they once desired. So I'm going to start with first conversation today. I'm not going to go any deeper. The next recording, we'll talk about the rest, right? So the first level is, this is a calling card for the legendaries. You were born legendary. You don't have to become legendary. You don't have to pretend to be legendary. You don't have to feel like you have imposter syndrome because you're showing up as legendary. You are legendary. You were born legendary. I mean, scripturally speaking, the Bible says, before you were in your mother's womb, God knew you. He had a plan for you, right? He had a perfect finish for you. It means that before you were even born, the finish was already good. So it's not just about the checking of the boxes. It's also about the fulfillment of purpose and the fulfillment of impact. So before we go further, I want to talk, let's talk on what's the definition of legendary. When we think about the word legendary, what do we think of? Oftentimes, just the dictionary, right? The dictionary said, legend is a traditional story. That's not necessarily true. Growing up, I don't know if you guys grew up in America or Caribbean or Africa or Asia or Europe, but wherever you grew up, one thing we knew was that, there were always these stories, these legends that were told. And what's funny is, even if you were born in a different era, in a different genre, that the legend continued with or without the person who was a part of the legend, right? So this is a story that's told over and over, right? This is, according to the dictionary, a traditional story, sometimes popular, regarded as a historical but unauthenticated event, right? So we know about the legend of King Arthur. Right now I'm wearing Chanel earrings. We know about the legend of Chanel, right? We know about the legendary story of this woman, this older woman who was way past middle age, who had taught herself to sew, and she had opened up the space to learn how to sew, went to France and was studying under different designers. And she was making clothes that defy the definition of fashion. We know about her. We've never met her. We never studied her in history, but the story is so legendary that her story precedes her. She's no longer alive, but the story is told. What story will people tell about you? Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered the stories that are told about the people who lived before you that were a part of your genetic family DNA, right? Are those stories good stories? Are those stories that are transformative story, inspirational story, empowering story, right? I have a client of mine and I've never met his mother and I've never met his foster mother, but I listen to the stories that he tells about both women. And the story is one of a legend. I've never met those individuals, but yet I know their story. Why? Because they had such a major impact on his life that he tells the story beyond their existence. So I ask you, are you living a life where the people you work with, the people you serve, the community you live in, the family that you have, your marriage, people around you, your in-laws, your friendship circle, your industry that you're in, are you going to leave an impact where you will be able to leave a story of a legend? And for many of you, you're like, well, I don't want to be famous. I don't care if people know me and all of that. But it's not about being famous. It is not necessarily just about people knowing you. It is about how you inspire, empower, and transform other people from the grave. What will you continue to do? Because one thing we know for a fact is that our time here is limited. We don't know how much time we have. We don't know what we're going to be able to do in the time that we have, but we can decide in this moment the type of life that we want to live. We can decide right now, as you're listening with me right now, you can make a decision right now that I am legendary. You can say to yourself and internalize the message that I am legendary. And I am legendary because I will live a story that's worth telling. I will write my story and I will live it out. In the challenge that I gave last year, the first day, I asked the persons taking the challenge to write their personal legend. I asked them to number their days. I asked them to go ahead and define who would be a part of their story. I asked them to tell me what they would want involved. I mean, it's a whole exercise. But I can tell you that almost everyone who's taken this challenge, they literally will tell you that on day one, they were stumped. When they were asked to tell their legend, they were stumped. Why? Many of us know the life we do not want. We know what we don't want out of life. We know where we don't want to be. We know who we don't want to be with, but we have forgotten what kind of life we do want to live. What's the quality of life you do want to live? What's the quality of experience you do want to have? What's the quality of friendship you do want to entertain? What's the quality of relationship that you want to welcome into your life? What's the quality of finances that you do want to possess? What's the quality of household that you do want to lead? What's the quality of business that you do want to build? What are these things? We cannot just wait for December 31st or January 1st to get all excited to write our New Year's resolution and not understand the legend that we are going to live. If you guys have ever coached with me or followed me for a while, you know that one of the books that I love to recommend is The Alchemist. And in The Alchemist, the character, the hero in the story, he literally is going on a journey for almost the entire book, trying to discover his personal legend. And if you've never read the book, I'm not going to ruin it for you. But long story short, what you will find is the thing that you're pursuing is inside of you. The places that you're going and the places where you want to find things are often the places where they are not. The place where you need to start is first within yourself. You have got to take time to do an audit of your thought, an audit of your expectation. There is a mentor that I had in the past, and he says, you have to inspect what you are expecting. If you are a legend, as I know that you are, and you need to remember that you are, then you must inspect what you're expecting. What kind of activities are you leading on a daily basis? Since you're a legend, how are you showing up every single day? How would the legendary version of you father or mother your child? How would the legendary version of build your business? How would the legendary version of you serve your client? How would the legendary version of you invest or spend or save money? How would the legendary version of you take vacation. How would the legendary version of you live in all fullness so you could live in fulfillment? So I want you guys to take a moment and think, I am a legend. And since I am a legend, right? Since you are a legend, I have got to align my words like the legend that you are, right? I've got to align my thoughts like the legend. I've got to align my activity and my relationship like the legend. And I've got to number my days. So many of us are so caught up in daily routine, but not realizing that every single day isn't necessarily contributing to the final story that you want to be written about you. See, before I move on, there's a quote, and I don't want to misquote it, so I'm just going to paraphrase it. And it says that majority of time, the history is written by those who won, right? History is written by those who won. So I want you to think, in your winning state, you will get to write history. Your family will get to see who you are, what you built, how you change lives, how you contributed to them. Will you be the person who they have a picture of you on their wall from generation to generation because you were the one who changed how the family saw education, because you were the one who changed how the family built businesses, because you were the one who changed the financial composition of the family, who took the family from lack to abundance? Will they have a picture of you? Will your great-grandchildren tell their grandchildren stories about you? Will you be written about in your family legends? Will stories be told about you? What kind of story will you tell yourself? Because before we can expect people to tell stories about us, we first need to inspect what we're expecting. What kind of story do I want to write in 2022, in 2023, in 2024, and so on and so forth? What kind of story do I want to write? When we're casting a vision, we must first understand the destination. See, if I'm taking Uber, right, I'm going to first put in the app where I'm at, my current location. And then I'm going to also have to put in my desired destination. You can't just get up and say, I'm going to book an Uber. And you know what? I'm not quite sure where I'm going, but I'm going to book it to the top of my street. And when I get there, I'm going to change it to another street. And then when I get there, I'm going to change it to somewhere else. The Uber is going to pull over the car on the side of the road and ask you to take your behind out of the car so he or she can continue about their business, right? But many of us are living our life this way. We're looking at our finances and we may not be happy with it, but we are saying, you know what? I'm just going to do from this month to this month. We're looking at our business or lack of business, and we're looking at it and we're saying, you know what? I want to have a business. I'm going to follow my ideal people. I'm going to follow people and get all this free information. I'm going to follow people and have all this free mentorship, but I'm not quite sure where I want to go. And what if I make a mistake? So I'm not even going to put a point, because if I put a point and it's not where I go, then people might judge me. Legends do not care about what other people have to say. Legends are living legendary lives because they have made a decision. You cannot allow indecisiveness or not know what holds in the future to keep you from getting started now. So you've got to inspect what you expect. If you're expecting to write a legendary story for your business this year, have you even gotten started? Have you even invested? Have you even created time in your schedule? If you are looking to build a legendary relationship, have you even put time on your calendar to have intimate time with your spouse, intimate time with yourself? How can you get to know somebody else when you don't even know yourself, right? So whatever legendary thing you're trying to do in this season, whatever legendary thing you will do in this season, I stand corrected. You first have to decide, what's the destination? right? What's the destination? On the way to a destination, you might have layovers. You might have gas station stops. You might have bathroom stops. You might have to stop off somewhere to change a tire or to get an oil change or to get some more gasoline. It doesn't matter because all you have to do is recalculate. All you have to do is pause, reset, and recalculate, right? You don't have to worry about the fact that you don't know everything. You're not supposed to know everything. Nobody knows everything. All I am calling you to action to do today is to accept that you are legendary. You were born legendary. And then begin to write the end so that then you can begin to live the way towards that. Begin to define where you're going. Define where your relationship will go. Define where you will go. Define where your health will go. Define where your finances will go. Define where your family will go. Define where your fitness and your fun will go. Define what freedom will look like for you in the end. Define how long do you want to live? What does that look like? If you don't plan for these things, then how can you live out your legendary story? See, a lot of people are so busy planning for what could go wrong that they forgot to plan for when it went right. What if it does go right? What if you do get to live out your full year? What if you do start a business and it's phenomenally amazing? What if you do the things that you're supposed to do and people come and they support you? What if you go into the relationship and it is amazing? What if everything that you're meant to do, you do it and it is done timely and powerfully? What if? I'm going to challenge you. Write your legendary story. If you need help, I have a 5-day challenge. Quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you. It's taken some people a little bit longer than 5 days. A lot of persons have never been to therapy. They have never unpacked some of the things that they've gone through in life. They've never done the process of healing. They've never dealt with things like trauma. A lot of persons have not dealt with negative self-talk. A lot of persons have not dealt with toxic fear, right? And limited mindset. And so the questions that are in there, they are literally engineered, simple questions, right? So that you can go ahead and by answering those questions, you will be able to get to the next step. It will give you the clarity that you need. Legends don't rely on vision boards. Yes, vision boards are an amazing tool. But a vision board is not a strategy. A vision board is not a strategy. Put it on a vision board that you want a husband or a wife is not a strategy. Put it on a vision board that you made $1 million is not a strategy. Put it on a vision board that you're a marathon runner is not a strategy. In fact, a lot of times people put pictures on vision boards that are not in alignment with their deepest desire about who they are. And to add to that, a lot of time people are not able to truly see who they are because they have so many limitations about what's possible because of the lies that people told you. So yes, I'm going to remind you that you are legendary. So F what they told you, F what they said, F what you've been told, F what you learned, F what you thought. You are legendary. You are legendary. So I want you guys, if you're listening to this, to jump on my social media, slide in my DMs, go ahead and comment under something and hashtag F what they told you. I am legendary. I want you to send me that message. F what they told you. I am legendary because you are. I want you to live every single day for the rest of this year. When you wake up, that's the first thought I want you to have is I am legendary. If those negative self-talk start coming up, I want you to quiet them very quickly. F what they told you. I am legendary. If somebody said, what if it doesn't work? F what they told you. I am legendary. Didn't you know? If somebody said, what if you're not good enough? What if you're not qualified enough? You remind them, F what they told you. I am legendary. Yes, there are going to be other steps that you'll need to take. Simply telling everybody F what they told you, I am legendary, is not going to be the full thing, but it's the first step. And so many of us are trying to get the full thing that we're missing the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. And so it's like building a house on sand. You build a solid house. You built a beautiful house. You built an amazing marriage. You built, you attracted an amazing partner. You had amazing children. You have great ideas for your business, but you never worked on your foundation. And so you're struggling to keep your marriage together. You're struggling to keep your family together. You're struggling to keep your finances together to scale your business to the next level. Your business might be doing well on the outside, but on the inside, there's so much more happening because you forgot that you are legendary. And now when you are legendary, you think differently. You move differently. You act differently. You sound different. You show up different. You associate different, right? So in the 5-day challenge, and you can do it or not do it, but I can tell you something. Let me first share with you why I know this was powerful. Not only did it work for my client, but I took it. So you see, before I did the 5-day miracles challenge, I literally was spending $2,000 a month on this particular multiple individuals doing services. I was showing up in spaces that were not congruent. They were not aligned. I was supporting people who were not aligned. And you think, oh, but you're a coach. Aren't you supposed to know everything and do everything? Let me tell you something. You have to continuously audit your mind, audit your thoughts, audit your thinking, audit your literal work, audit your friendship, audit your finances, audit your actions, audit those things. Because on a regular basis, a lot of things can look like what they really aren't. And people who joined you in a season where they were aligned, that they were a match, you may have outgrown them. Maybe some behaviors that you had in a season were good, but you're no longer in that place. See, I'm not who I used to be. I had outgrown these individuals. They were no longer aligned. Their systems, their processes were no longer aligned. So I spent more than $12,000 in a few months doing things that were no longer aligned. But when I took my own challenge, I started to recognize, oh, wait a minute. These people are not aligned. This system is not aligned. I realized that I was playing this nice girl narrative that I had in my head. I was so busy perfecting being the nice girl because I didn't want to be seen as the you-know-what. I was more caught up in being nice than being respected. And so I got disrespected with the level of service, support that I was paying for, the level of delivery that I anticipated that was promised to me. I never got it. So when I took this and I started to do an audit, I started to recognize, first of all, Natalie, you are legendary. Just like I'm telling you guys right now that you are legendary, I had to remind myself of that. And I was saying, yo, you are doing some basic things. Legends don't settle into the basic. They don't allow people to play games with them. They don't allow people to overpromise and underdeliver. They don't allow people to play with their coins. But here I was, playing games with my coins, allowing people to play patty cake with my business. And I needed to remind myself that I was legendary. Let me tell you something. Not only have I shifted and cut off those things that were not serving me and removed myself from things that were no longer aligned, I've literally been able to build something different, to build something that's more worthwhile. I've literally rebranded. And I'm going to talk about that on my other platform soon, right? So if you're not following the podcast and you're not following, the personal, then I definitely want you to go ahead and follow the business. The business is multi-six-figure society. That's multi-six-figures society. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to pin it so that you guys, it will be in the show note, right? It will be in the show note so that you guys can go ahead and follow. But I want you guys to understand that when you do things differently, right? When you begin to understand who you are, when you begin to understand that you are legendary, you will not accept basic stuff from people. You will not accept basic performance from anybody, not from yourself, first and foremost, Then not from people who work for you, not from your family, not from your friendship circle, not from your accountability partner. I do not want to be associated with people who do not operate in a certain level of integrity. Okay. So doing this challenge, this 5-day challenge, really shifted me a lot. I created this challenge to help people get clear on their vision, get clear on the things that were holding them back, get clear on the things that they needed to release to move forward, assess their relationship. And I'm going to go through over the next recording that I do. But I want you to know that first step first, you've got to come into awareness that you are legendary. You are enough. You are sufficient. What you are doing needs to align with being legendary. The story that you are writing, the choices that you're making every single day to show up, whether it's showing up on social media, showing up in your family, showing up in your marriage, showing up in your finances, showing up in your business, showing up in your relationships, whatever you're showing up in, it needs to align with the fact that you are legendary. Stop acting basic. Stop aligning with people who bring basic thought. I went into a room recently on a social media app, and the young lady was saying some stuff that was gibberish to me. She said, don't let people tell you about making $5,000. I mean, are they making $5,000 or is that just revenue? And I'm thinking, for her circle, that might be relevant information, but for me, that's not good information. For where she's at, that's excellent information, but for me, that's actually toxic, negative, limited mindset information. 5,000 in a month. If 5,000 in a month challenges you from what we do, the type of coaching and the type of business that we do, then that's not the circle. So you have to understand, being legendary doesn't mean that the people aren't good enough. It doesn't mean that the people are bad people. It doesn't mean that people are toxic. It doesn't necessarily even mean that they're not amazing and nice people. It just means that they do not align. It just means that they're not up to the level where you need to be delivering at. It just means that they're not at the pace, the energetic pace, the level that you want to be, the mindset that you want to be, the financial system that you want to be in. See, if you're going to multi-6 figures this year or multi-7 figures, or even just making your first 6-figure, you cannot be around people who think that making $5,000 a month is a challenging thought. You cannot be in that environment because it's going to be hard for you to show up in your business, believing in yourself that you can make at least $8,600 a month, which is the basic of a revenue of 6 figures. When somebody is saying, is it even real to be able to make $5,000 profit monthly? It's going to be hard for you to design things where you can price it for $5,000 for one client if people around you are saying it is not real. So you have got to realign your mind, right? But first things first, the calling card for this episode is I am legendary. I want you to print it and put it on your wall. I want you to put it on your phone. I want you to put it in your mirrors. I want you to put a note in your car. I want you to put a note in your wallet. I want you to put a note on your desktop or your laptop. I want you to put a note everywhere you can see it. I am legendary. F what they told you. I am legendary. So if somebody pulls up on you with some negative mindset, F what they told you. I am legendary. This episode, I'm going to make sure that the show notes have all the links with the books that I mentioned, the challenge that I mentioned, as well as the resources to help you to align your mind with walking in the spirit of being legendary. God created you legendary. You don't have to become legendary. You don't have to pretend to be legendary. You are legendary. You simply have to release everything and everyone that will keep you from operating in the spirit of who you are. After you accept the challenge that you are legendary, I'm going to ask you to go ahead. If you want to do my challenge, fine. If you have something else that you can do, no problem. I'm going to still pin it in the show notes. I want you to answer the questions that's going to help you to write the story. What's the story that people will speak about you? What will they say about your finances? What will they say about your wisdom when it came to dealing with people, right? What will it say about how you contributed to your community? What will it say about what you do for your clients or your family? What will it say about your relationship? It is from this mindset. It is from this vision of you that you create for yourself, that you will be able to identify the goals, identify the systems, identify the people, identify the next steps. Because I promise you, the things that you are chasing, you don't even need to chase. They will chase you and overtake you. But you have got to realign your mind and accept that you are legendary. So to wrap it all up, you have got to make a decision that you were born legendary. And so as a result of that, you cannot accept anything but, okay? Life will happen. You will fall off. You may get sick. You may lose loved ones. People will reject you. You will experience abandonment. You will even sometimes feel like the things you're experiencing does not add back to your being legendary. However, you are going to have to create a why, a reason why you have got to keep going. And every single time you feel overwhelmed, feel like quitting, feel like stopping, feel like you're not good enough, feel like things are not measuring up the way you want them to, feel disappointed, feel hurt, or feel pain, you will have to make a decision based on that why to get up, be legendary, and keep going. This is Natalie, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you on the next episode.